Hello, I hope this video has found you in good health and in good spirits. I'm Rick with Wolfsburg Tech. This is our third video in the series on how to be a mechanic. On this video, I'm discussing habits. This may seem an uninteresting topic, but this is one of the Miyagi moments that you tune in for. You can't drive a car without the key, and I'm handing you one of the vital keys to a successful mechanical career. So please bear with me. Habits are a thing that you do regularly, often without thinking. It could be something positive like saying thank you, or it could be something negative like smoking. A habit is often something you started doing and never quit doing. Sometimes they're like a ritual that gives us comfort or lends structure to our days. And our habits help make up who we are. It's commonly said that it takes 21 days to create a habit, and some say as much as 66 days. Either way, a desirable habit, one that benefits you, can be cultivated and nurtured. Likewise, a detrimental habit can be broken or prevented before it even becomes habit. When I'm training a mechanic, I have certain rules that must be memorized. One of those rules is that good habits make excellent mechanic work, and bad habits will make even the most talented mechanic fail. This must be understood to also understand the role that good habits will play in your success in general, not just as a mechanic. Successful people are regular people with good habits. These are some good habits for mechanics to cultivate. Being kind to future you. You are who you are now, but after today's experience, who will you be tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that, and the years coming? My point is that future you is older and wiser, and therefore is deserving of deference and respect from you. Therefore, you should do things that ease the burden on future you. Some simple habits that will lighten the load on future you are putting things away as you go, keeping your work area, floor, and air hose clean. Don't track fluids around the shop. Don't be that guy that makes everyone have to clean the floor extra times. Do some tool maintenance and cleaning between jobs. Even if you're not doing a full clean, you could put away some tools you're done with and reduce your workbench clutter for the job at hand. Update documentation of jobs often. You never know how involved the job you're doing will get, so keep your pocket notebook handy and jot down parts you used, tests you've run, items you have eliminated as problems, times you started and stopped. Just keep a list of what you know and add to it when you can as you progress on the job. You will need all this information when you fill out the repair order. List each test you performed and the results. List what the results indicate. If you're not organized like this, you will lose billable hours because you will not be able to account for your time. Here's a nice one. Snap the photos of what you find so that you can share it with your customer or with your service writer or just post it on the internet. Snap photos of everything before you disassemble to aid you in reassembly. For instance, did the wiring harness go above or below that bracket? Did the silver or black screws go there? It doesn't cost anything to snap and view photos these days, so don't be stingy. And another thing, never back a vehicle with the door open, not even a little bit. There's no reason to do that, and it can total a car in less than a second. Just don't do it. Ask me how I know. Another worthwhile habit. When you're doing a job, use two carts. One just for parts and fasteners, and another cart or your toolbox for tools. Don't jumble your tools and the parts. You'll be sorry when you think you're finished and you find something from 10 steps back while you're putting away your tools. I had a mechanic once build a motor without the lifters because he hid them from himself. Out of sight, out of mind. It was not a good day. Another good habit. Treat every job like you won't reassemble for at least a year. Bag and tag all your bolts. Plug and tape every hole and flange in the motor or transmission. If something unexpected happens to postpone finishing the job, you won't want to ruin an engine or a gearbox by being a slackerjack. And here's a great one. Start your day with the simplest job. A little bit of success can motivate you for the rest of the day. And also over time, you can build more hours this way. Here's a habit that will help half the mechanics out there through a serious phobia of electronics. Think of every electronic module as a stereo. Stereo has power, ground, inputs from antennas and RCA inputs, and then it has outputs as speakers. It's easy peasy. If you can verify that the module has every single input and is getting what it needs and has power and ground, if it's not putting out right, it needs to be replaced. Here's a great habit. Do a little bit of extra on each job. Lube squeaky doors. Set the clock to the correct time. Clean the inside of the windshield or rearview mirror, and maybe even vacuum your customers' floors. You can bag their trash, and if you really want to make an impression, clean the inside of their rear window. But unless you're dating your customer, keep your extras down to about 5 minutes or less. And now it's time to discuss some bad habits. Don't let customers drive their cars into the service bay or pull their own cars out. They're not insured, and remember that a certain percentage of our population is clinically insane, and that's a fact. And if the customer is pulling their own car out of the service bay, who's performing the test drive? We once had a college-age customer hit our building once while pulling out. All he had to do was back straight up. Instead, he ripped his bumper and headlight out on the frame on the roll-up door. It was not a good day. He had an emotional breakdown right in front of us. Here's one. Complaining. Don't walk around complaining. It's easy to get into that habit. There's nothing more depressing than having to show up every day to a workplace where everyone is miserable. Some workplaces are miserable, but being miserable is a choice. When somebody wants to talk down the workplace or the boss, don't feed into it. Suggest instead that they take their complaint to the boss, because that's the only person who can solve the problem. And a wise person once said to me that a complaint is an insult to God, as if what he's given you isn't good enough. You can effect change without constant complaints. Another one, keys. Don't do foolish things with car keys. Foolish things like putting them in your pocket or leaving them inside the car. If you need to leave them in the car, just let the window down a crack in case the door's locked. And you're relying on your memory to remove the keys from your pocket before you leave work or before doing laundry. Get these keys wet and they're ruined. And experience tells me that even the best memory would only be 80% effective. New keys cost $500 to $1,000 each. Also, with a lost key, if the car is blocking other cars or it's stuck in a service bay, there will be even more expense and loss of productivity trying to move that car. And here's a habit. When you get under a car, take a few seconds and look around and think whether you're safe. Jacks, jack stands, lifts are not magic. Two-post lifts have to be relatively balanced. So use the reinforced jack point so you don't bend the car's rocker panels. Safety protocols need to be followed. My high school principal, Mr. Bland, died under his own vehicle using a hydraulic jack without using a jack stand for the safety. That carelessness cost him his life over doing an oil change. And once the van dropped on him, I'd like to say he died quickly and relatively painlessly, but the truth is, it probably hurt like hell the whole time he was being mashed to death. Gasoline. You need to develop a healthy respect for gasoline and gasoline vapors. These vapors are explosive, and the fire can jump for a very long distance on fuel vapors. If you have heavy gasoline vapors in your area, don't flip any light switches, any fan switches, plug anything in, start electric motors, nothing. All of these are sources of sparks, and any spark can trigger an explosion. And don't slide your feet while you're walking around in such an area. Pick those feet up so you don't create static, which also creates sparks. Slowly open the doors, not to create sparks, and let the vapors escape. Stop whatever is leaking and leave the area until the vapors are gone. You need to know that there's a tremendous amount of energy in a gallon of gas, and it can push you and your car through the wind at 60 miles an hour for 30 or more miles. That's a lot of energy. You really don't want to trigger a release of that energy, and that release would be a disfiguring heat or an explosion. And explosions like this can take down entire buildings, and it's bad. If you have a pan of gasoline laying around, get it outside quickly and pour it into an airtight container for disposal. That brings me to another liquid, brake fluid. Most automotive brake fluids like DOT3 or DOT4 will destroy the paint on a car. Brake fluid is water soluble, so having a garden hose or a bucket of water on hand is a great habit to develop. You never know when you're going to spray brake fluid all around accidentally. Ask me how I know. If you can rinse the fluid off within a few seconds, you're in the clear. And if not, repainting a car costs thousands of dollars. And catch your brake fluid in a bottle when you bleed brakes. Don't let it hit the floor, because it will discolor even epoxy floor paint too. And keeping clutter out of your work area is a great habit. Don't leave old fluids laying around for someone else or future you to deal with. Jug up those used fluids and mark them as to what they are. Keep your work area tidy. The same with used parts. We keep used parts on hand until the customer picks up the car in case they want them. So unless there's a core charge, the parts still belong to the customer. So put the old parts into a box with the customer's name on it and put the box somewhere out of the way. Once the car is gone, the old parts need to go. We recycle everything here, and that's probably its own video. So I hope this talk on habits is interesting and helpful to you. I know that the habits I've fostered over the years have smoothed my path, and I hope they do the same for you. But if they are to help you, you must cultivate them. Adopting a good habit isn't going to happen by accident. If you like the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. There's going to be even more content, and much of it more exciting than me sitting here talking to a camera. I'm Rick with Wolfsburg Tech saying until next time.
My pickup is rusted, but she's a sweet ride. A butter bean basket and a 12-pack by my side. Mud on the tires and my hound dog in back. We drive muddy back roads, we never turn back.